Hello and welcome, I'm Liam the News Reviewer, Scarce here, double upload today, and today we're going to be talking about the latest single from Bring Me The Horizon titled Mantra. Bring Me The Horizon, a Sheffield based band. The majority of their catalogue is metalcore, I would put it. Never really cared for a great deal of it, though the album, There's a Hell, Believe Me I've Seen It, whatever the rest of that title was, I've found some good songs on there. They followed that up with the 2013 album that saw them go in more of a synth direction. Sempiterno, probably my favourite of their records. It's got one of my favourite songs, or probably my favourite song, Shadow Moses, which samples Metal Gear Solid, well, the first one, but in case you're wondering which entry, which is a pretty cool song, and it's just overall just a really cool album that goes in a different direction for the band that I feel benefits them more. Then they followed it up in 2015 with the album That's the Spirit, an album that I was a big fan of when it came out. It was one of my favourite records. If you watch my 2015 best albums video, if you can find it all the way in the back of my video filmography, I guess, you'll see that I was a big fan of it. I still like it a fair deal, though I do think that I've just kind of, the more I've listened to it, the more that I think that they did sacrifice a sort of bit of an edge. Maybe they went too much for that poppy direction to a point where I feel that it would have benefited from more of an edge. Those songs like Drown, I still think are pretty damn good, and ones that I still come back to every now and then. But now we get this song Mantra, which is off an upcoming release of which I don't know the name of. No one knows the name of, as far as I'm aware. No release date, but apparently there's been posters everywhere saying, "Do you want to join a cult?" And yeah, apparently this was all some big promo to big up Mantra, which we're going to talk about briefly just now, because as far as I'm concerned, for a 3-year wait, especially because 2015 is when That Spirit came out, and I assume that this album will be coming out in 2018, but there's at least been like 3 years of work going on there, or maybe not, I don't want to assume, but you would expect like a bigger jump. You would expect how Sempiterno to That's the Spirit was far poppier, and even if you don't like That's the Spirit, you can at least admit this is definitely a new direction, like they're definitely changing it up. Whereas here it feels like more of a 0.5 Bring Me The Horizon, whatever stage we're at yet, like 3.5 I guess, as opposed to like a full on like 4, and maybe that's because they're a bigger fan of what they were doing on the last album. Maybe they don't want to alienate their fan base, which, if I remember rightly from the Animac interview that preceded, or both preceded and succeeded, the Radio 1 debut, seems to be something that Ollie Sykes, frontman, is hesitant towards, about he doesn't want to alienate old time fans, he doesn't alienate these new ones that came from That Spirit, which is like a very real worry, and I totally get that. I do think that for a lot of this production, definitely during the verses and definitely in the intro, it feels a lot beefier. The drums feel a lot like the thrashing does really have more of a punch, as well as the guitars. There's the kind of like trademark synths that they've been going with for the past 2 albums that haven't changed all that much, but it's always nice to have them kind of just like roaming about. A complaint maybe that I have, other than the fact that I don't think there's been too much of a change. Again, this is the first cut, this is probably going to be the single that they're going to want to go with, so maybe in deeper cuts on this album we're going to see more of a direction shift or a progression. But I feel that the chorus, well, it's good and it's definitely catchy. I do really like some of the riffs on here. I do think that they in turn give it a bit more of a heavier production than maybe you would have got if That's the Spirit. But ideally I would like the chorus to have a bit more of a punch, because really I don't think that there's all that much making it feel like a really like big rip roaring kind of chorus, so it's not a bad one by any means. Lyrically, I'm not sure what it's trying to go for. I don't mean that in the case of like it's bad or that, but it doesn't seem like it's trying to like hit anything, though it's just a lot of stuff about like the cults and the truth will set you free and all that, so there's probably some sort of like confessional angle that maybe will be built upon the rest of whatever this record's going to be called. But yeah, I thought it was a fine song. Some nice bits on it. I think the bridge is fine as well. Almost feels like a sort of like freestyle from Ollie. Like his delivery is still very much what we've come to expect, and his singing is still fine. Like beforehand, it was obviously more kind of like shouting and screamo sort of stuff, but on That Spirit he showed that he had a nice singing voice, and yeah, it's still nice enough on here. Maybe the automated voice bit that goes mantra at the chorus maybe feels a bit jarring, but maybe something that I'll grow towards, and that's something I need to disclaim, because while this is a track review reaction kind of thing, I might end up growing warmer towards this track. I might end up not liking it as much. These are just my first thoughts, because I like talking about this music as soon as I can, and I'll be looking forward to talking about it in the grander scope of things when this comes out. If you guys have listened to it, let me know what you think. Go give it a listen if you haven't already, and just go in the comments below and let me know what you made of this track. Yeah, so this has been me talking about Bring Me the Horizon Mantra. As always guys, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay hydrated.
Talking Heads have a new album. It's called Remain in Light. Talking